This investigation examines an alleged network of individuals who claim connections to powerful families and elite institutions. We're looking at a group of people who have created a network centered around false claims of royal or elite lineage. Evidence suggests these activities are potentially fraudulent and designed to exploit vulnerable individuals. At the center of these allegations is James Casbolt, who claims connections to MI6 and various intelligence agencies. Another key figure is Ariana Cormier, also known as Patricia Cormier, who presents herself as having royal lineage, particularly connected to the Romanov family. The third prominent individual is Mahal Rockefeller, who falsely claims affiliation with both the Rockefeller family and federal law enforcement agencies like the FBI. Examination of evidence suggests these individuals collaborate with each other, creating a network of false claims and mutual promotion. The apparent motivation behind these false claims is financial gain. These individuals allegedly sell false titles, request investments in secret projects, and solicit donations for non-existent causes. They primarily operate on social media and various online platforms where they can reach vulnerable individuals and spread their narratives. James Casbolt, who sometimes goes by the name Michael Prince, presents himself as an insider with extraordinary connections to powerful families and organizations. Casbolt has made numerous extraordinary claims, including connections to the Rothschild family, insider knowledge of classified government programs, and access to information about extraterrestrial contact. However, his credibility is severely undermined by his criminal record. In the United Kingdom, Casbolt was convicted of stalking and harassment, receiving a 12-year prison sentence. His case involved threatening behavior and repeated violations of court orders. Casbolt has published materials such as Agent Buried Alive, which contains numerous claims about secret government programs. These publications have been widely criticized for lacking verifiable evidence and contradicting established facts. He has consistently used these conspiracy narratives to solicit money from followers. His tactics include fear-based appeals, claims of exclusive insider information, and promises of protection or salvation from alleged threats. Given his criminal history and pattern of unsubstantiated claims, James Casbolt's credibility is assessed as extremely low by investigators and legitimate researchers. James Casbolt has promoted a wide array of conspiracy theories throughout his career. His claims center around three main categories of conspiracy theories. First, he alleges the existence of underground military bases, supposedly housing alien technology and human-alien collaborative projects. Second, Casbolt claims extensive knowledge of mind control programs, allegedly run by governments in cooperation with extraterrestrial entities. Third, he purports to have insider information about recovered alien technology, including spacecraft and advanced weapon systems. A key element of Casbolt's methodology is the manipulation of evidence to support his claims. Upon closer examination, his supposed evidence typically shows signs of manipulation, with added elements or digital alteration to create supernatural appearances. Casbolt employs a systematic methodology to promote his conspiracy theories and exploit vulnerable individuals. Step 1. He establishes credibility by presenting himself as a whistleblower with access to classified information. Step 2. He provides falsified evidence, including manipulated photos and fabricated documents, to support his claims. Step 3. He identifies and targets vulnerable individuals who are susceptible to conspiracy theories or seeking alternative explanations. Step 4. Finally, he extracts financial support from these individuals, promising continued revelations or special access to information. It's important to understand that these techniques are specifically designed to exploit trust and extract financial support from vulnerable individuals seeking answers. Ariana Cormier, also known as Patricia Cormier, has constructed an elaborate false identity based on claimed connections to European royalty. She presents herself using multiple aliases, including Princess Ariana Romanov and Countess Ariana Constantine, suggesting connections to two prestigious royal families. Cormier has fabricated an extensive backstory claiming direct descent from the Russian Romanov dynasty and Greek Constantine nobility. Her narrative includes elaborate tales of family members escaping revolution and persecution, supported by supposedly historical documents that cannot be authenticated. When these claims are examined closely, serious inconsistencies and historical inaccuracies become apparent. Genealogists and historians who have investigated these claims have found no verifiable evidence connecting Cormier to any royal lineage. Using these fabricated royal identities, Cormier has reportedly solicited funds from individuals who believe her claims. She offers nobility certificates and royal titles for substantial fees. Despite her elaborate narratives, there is no credible evidence supporting any connection to these royal families. Her claims have been thoroughly debunked by experts in royal genealogy and history. The Romanov imposter phenomenon has a long and fascinating history with significant parallels to modern fraudulent claims. In July 1918, the Russian imperial Romanov family, Tsar Nicholas II, his wife, and their 5 children, were executed during the Russian Revolution. Soon after their deaths, numerous individuals began emerging around the world, claiming to be surviving members of the royal family who had somehow escaped execution. Over the past century, dozens of imposters have come forward. Let's examine some key moments in this phenomenon. The question of Romanov survival was definitively answered by science. In 2008, DNA analysis conclusively confirmed the remains of all Romanov family members. The most famous Romanov imposter was Anna Anderson, who for decades claimed to be Grand Duchess Anastasia, the Tsar's youngest daughter. Despite convincing many people during her lifetime, DNA testing in 1994 proved that Anderson had no biological connection to the Romanov family. Ariana Cormier's claims follow this historical pattern of Romanov imposture, using similar tactics but adapted for the social media age. People pose as Romanov descendants for various reasons. Financial gain is often a primary motivation through books, media appearances, and donations from believers. Social attention and notoriety are powerful incentives, as is the psychological appeal of claiming connection to an elite historical lineage. The Romanov imposter phenomenon demonstrates how historical tragedies can be exploited and how the same patterns of deception continue to evolve in modern times. This section examines Michal Rockefeller's false claims of FBI affiliations, a key element in his scheme to appear credible and authoritative. Let's first examine the identity of the individual who calls himself Michal Rockefeller. Despite his claims, there is no verified connection between this individual and the actual Rockefeller family, nor does he have any legitimate affiliation with federal law enforcement agencies. When we examine these alleged FBI credentials more closely, the fraudulent nature becomes apparent. The badge numbers, formatting, and other details do not match legitimate FBI identification. It's important to note that impersonating a federal officer is a serious crime in the United States, punishable by up to 3 years in federal prison under Title 18 of the U.S. Code. Michal Rockefeller reportedly uses these false credentials to intimidate people through various tactics. He claims special authority, threatens federal investigations, and alleges access to classified information. These intimidation tactics are designed to manipulate victims and others by creating fear and leveraging the perceived authority that comes with federal law enforcement status. One revenue stream for this alleged network involves selling fake titles of nobility or certificates of royal lineage. These worthless documents may cost buyers hundreds or thousands of dollars. Sellers use elaborate fake seals, signatures, and official-looking designs to make these titles appear legitimate. The sellers often create elaborate websites and documentation to make these titles appear legitimate. The market for such titles exploits people's desires for status and recognition. Despite their ornate appearance, these titles have no legal or historical validity. Despite having no legal or historical validity, these fake titles can cost buyers hundreds or thousands of dollars. Social media platforms provide fertile ground for deceptive individuals to spread false claims and target potential victims. These individuals create a network of accounts across multiple platforms to amplify their presence and create an illusion of legitimacy. They employ sophisticated digital manipulation techniques to create false evidence supporting their claims, including photoshopped images, forged documents, and convincing replicas of official websites. A critical part of their strategy is building a community of believers who will defend their claims against skeptics, creating an echo chamber that reinforces their deception. When examining social media profiles, several red flags can help identify potential fraudsters, including unverified claims, limited profile history, excessive secrecy, inconsistent details, and creating a false sense of urgency. These online communities often become defensive barriers against scrutiny and questioning, creating a protective wall that helps perpetuate the deception. The alleged criminal ring employs specific psychological manipulation tactics that closely resemble techniques used by cults and confidence operations. First is their creation of exclusive knowledge. The group convinces followers they possess special information that has been hidden from the general public. They systematically foster distrust of mainstream sources, positioning themselves as the only trustworthy alternative to corrupted institutions. They promise special status to believers, suggesting they are part of an elite group with connections to royalty, secret societies, or powerful entities. The group specifically targets vulnerable individuals who are seeking meaning, connection, or validation in their lives. They deploy love bombing techniques, overwhelming new recruits with excessive attention, praise, and affection to create emotional dependency. Isolation tactics are employed to gradually separate victims from skeptical friends and family who might challenge the group's narratives. Finally, they implement cult-like control mechanisms, including thought-stopping techniques, loaded language, and punishment of critical thinking. The claim of exclusive knowledge serves a dual purpose. It makes followers feel special, while creating a framework where outside information can be dismissed as incomplete or manipulated. By undermining trust in mainstream sources, the group positions themselves as the sole reliable information provider, making it difficult for victims to fact-check or seek outside perspectives. Promises of special status exploit natural desires for recognition and importance. Members are led to believe they have royal connections or will hold positions of power in a coming new order. The group deliberately targets people during vulnerable periods in their lives, those experiencing loneliness, major life transitions, or searching for identity and purpose. Initial contact is characterized by overwhelming positive attention and validation, creating an emotional high that victims later seek to recapture by deeper involvement. As involvement deepens, members are encouraged to distance themselves from negative influences, typically friends or family who express skepticism about the group's claims. The group employs classic cult manipulation tactics, specialized language that reinforces group identity, thought-stopping techniques to prevent critical thinking, and a us versus them worldview. The manipulation follows a typical progression pattern, beginning with identifying vulnerable targets and ending with complete dependency. Recognizing these psychological manipulation tactics is crucial for protection. Watch for these warning signs that may indicate you're being targeted by this group or similar operations. These fraudulent groups employ various sophisticated methods to financially exploit their victims. These individuals have developed what amounts to a playbook of financial exploitation techniques. These groups commonly solicit donations for non-existent causes, such as legal battles to reclaim supposed royal heritage. Look closely at the vague claims about royal heritage and the substantial funding goal. These are classic red flags. Another common tactic is offering expensive memberships to supposedly exclusive groups with special access and elite connections. Members often pay thousands of dollars annually, but receive nothing of value in return, just vague promises and a sense of belonging to an elite group. Direct requests for loans or gifts that are never repaid are perhaps the most brazen tactic. These individuals may claim to need emergency funds for legal battles or personal crises. Victims report that after providing funds, they encounter an endless series of excuses about why the money can't be repaid, eventually leading to complete disappearance or blocked communication. The financial impact on victims can be substantial. Some individuals report losing tens of thousands of dollars through these various exploitation methods. To protect yourself from these financial exploitation methods, remain vigilant and skeptical of extraordinary claims, especially when money is involved. The alleged ring of fraudsters tactically connects themselves to legitimate loyalist and royalist groups to build credibility. They methodically target established monarchist organizations, historical societies, and heritage foundations. Their infiltration techniques form a calculated pattern of deception, creating false associations with reputable groups. One common tactic is attending legitimate royal history events and exhibitions where they network with unsuspecting enthusiasts and potential victims. They carefully appropriate the language, terminology, and symbols of legitimate historical preservation groups to appear authentic. By associating with legitimate groups, the fraudsters effectively mask their deceptive activities and gain undeserved credibility. These connections create a shield of perceived legitimacy that makes their fraudulent claims harder to identify and question. Analyzing the so-called historical photos and evidence presented by James Casbolt and Associates requires understanding the manipulation techniques they typically employ. These individuals frequently share images claiming to document secret meetings, royal connections, or hidden evidence that supposedly validates their conspiracy narratives. When we examine these images closely, we can see obvious signs of manipulation. This alleged secret meeting photo contains inconsistent lighting patterns and anachronistic elements that didn't exist in the claimed time period. This supposed royal connection image shows clear evidence of digital clone stamping, a basic editing technique, along with misaligned perspective that betrays the composite nature of the image. The alleged hidden evidence photo contains resolution inconsistencies between different elements and uses fonts that weren't developed until decades after the claimed date of the document. These manipulations typically employ several common techniques. Basic photo compositing combines multiple images into one. Genuine historical photos are often misrepresented with false contexts. Artificial aging effects are applied to make modern images appear older, and false contextual information is provided to guide viewers toward predetermined conclusions. Digital forensic analysis can reveal these deceptions through several methods. Error level analysis exposes inconsistent editing patterns. Examining metadata often reveals timeline discrepancies. Lighting and shadow analysis shows physically impossible patterns, while close inspection can reveal telltale pixel artifacts around manipulated elements. These manipulated images are particularly effective because they target emotional responses rather than rational analysis. They create a false sense of insider knowledge and bypass critical thinking by appealing to confirmation bias and emotional reactions. When evaluating images presented as evidence by these individuals, remember that the emotional impact of visual material often overrides factual verification. Always seek independent analysis and verification of any extraordinary visual claims. Members of this alleged network have faced various legal consequences for their activities. James Casbolt was sentenced to 12 years in prison in the United Kingdom for stalking, blackmail, and threats to release private photographs. He had previously claimed to be associated with MI6. Impersonating federal agents, as Mahal Rockefeller allegedly did with FBI claims, is a serious federal crime in the United States. This offense can result in up to 3 years of imprisonment and fines reaching $250,000. Financial schemes involving false claims can lead to severe fraud charges. Wire fraud and mail fraud each carry penalties of up to 20 years in prison. Additional identity theft charges can add 2 or more years to sentences. However, many of these individuals operate in legal gray areas that make prosecution difficult. Jurisdictional challenges across borders, vague conspiracy claims, and differing standards between social media policies and legal requirements create enforcement challenges. In some cases, it's difficult to prove financial harm to specific victims. The phenomenon of individuals falsely claiming royal lineage spans centuries of history. From the 17th century to the present day, imposters have emerged across Europe and beyond, each following similar patterns of deception. Among the most famous cases is Anna Anderson, who claimed to be Grand Duchess Anastasia Romanov, the daughter of the last Russian Tsar. For decades, Anderson maintained her claim until DNA testing in 1994 conclusively proved she was actually Franziska Szankowska, a Polish factory worker. Another remarkable case involves the lost son of Louis XVI of France. Over 100 people claimed to be the young Dauphin who allegedly escaped from prison during the French Revolution. These claims persisted for generations until DNA testing on the preserved heart of the child in 2000 confirmed that the real Louis XVII had indeed died in prison, debunking all pretender claims. Modern authentication technologies have fundamentally changed how we verify historical identity claims. DNA testing has become the definitive tool for evaluating royal claims, allowing historians to conclusively resolve mysteries that persisted for centuries. However, the digital age has created new platforms for royal imposture, allowing modern pretenders to reach wider audiences with minimal verification. Despite technological advances, the psychological patterns that drive these false claims have remained remarkably consistent across centuries. These imposters appeal to lost legacies, exploit historical mysteries, target emotional connections to history, and create elaborate backstories to support their fraudulent claims. While the methods and technologies involved continue to evolve, the phenomenon of royal imposture persists as a constant throughout human history. Former followers who have escaped the influence of these individuals often share similar stories of manipulation and financial loss. Many victims report a remarkably consistent pattern in how they were manipulated, despite having no contact with each other. They describe a gradual process of becoming involved, initially through an interest in conspiracy theories or royal history. Many report being love-bombed at first, receiving excessive praise, attention, and affirmation. Then they experienced increasing isolation from friends, family, and outside influences who might question the group's claims. Financial requests typically escalate over time, starting small and growing increasingly larger. The financial exploitation follows a predictable pattern. Perpetrators start with small, reasonable requests that gradually escalate as the victim becomes more invested in the relationship. What begins as small donations for the cause evolves into urgent emergency requests, followed by exclusive investment opportunities, and finally, major financial commitments that can drain victims' savings. Victims often don't realize they're being manipulated until they've suffered significant financial and emotional damage. By recognizing these warning signs, potential victims can protect themselves. Digital literacy has become an essential skill in the modern era, especially for preventing victimization by fraudulent groups. When encountering claims online, verification is your first line of defense. Always cross-reference information with multiple reliable sources. Check publishing dates for context. Verify author credentials, locate original source materials, and utilize dedicated fact-checking websites. Manipulated images are commonly used to fabricate evidence of royal connections or historical significance. Learn to spot suspicious elements like inconsistent lighting or shadows, unnatural edges, and blurry sections that indicate tampering. To evaluate source credibility, use structured approaches like the CRAP test. Check currency to see when information was published. Assess relevance to your specific needs. Verify authority by researching the author or publisher. Confirm accuracy through fact-checking, and question the purpose behind the information. When faced with extraordinary claims about royal lineage or secret government connections, apply critical thinking. As Carl Sagan famously stated, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Follow a structured process. Carefully evaluate the claim, thoroughly assess all evidence, and draw conclusions based on factual analysis rather than emotional appeal. Fraudsters employ specific psychological tactics to manipulate victims. They often make appeals to false authority, create artificial scarcity for their exclusive groups, use emotional manipulation to bypass rational thinking, generate false urgency to prevent careful consideration, and fabricate social proof to suggest widespread acceptance of their claims. Fortunately, numerous resources exist to help verify information and enhance digital literacy skills. Fact-checking websites like Snopes, factcheck.org, PolitiFact, and AFP FactCheck can debunk false claims. Digital verification tools, including Google Reverse Image Search, TinEye, the InVid verification plugin, and the Wayback Machine, allow you to investigate suspicious content yourself. The communities that form around conspiracy theorists fulfill several psychological needs for their members. Research in social psychology shows these communities satisfy three fundamental human needs: a sense of belonging, meaning, and access to special knowledge. The need for belonging is especially powerful, as these groups provide community to those who may feel marginalized or misunderstood by mainstream society. They also provide a framework for meaning, helping members make sense of complex or troubling events through simplified explanations. Perhaps most appealing is the access to supposed special knowledge, information that the elites or mainstream supposedly hide from the public. Psychological research has identified several key factors that make conspiracy theories particularly appealing during times of uncertainty. Studies show a strong correlation between feelings of uncertainty or powerlessness and increased belief in conspiracy theories. These communities provide powerful social bonds. Members gain not just beliefs, but an identity and sense of purpose through their participation. Understanding these psychological factors explains why rational arguments often fail to convince believers. When beliefs are tied to identity, emotional investment, and group reinforcement, standard evidence becomes less persuasive. This psychological understanding is crucial for those attempting to help friends or family members who have become embedded in conspiracy communities. Professional researchers use rigorous methodologies to verify claims, especially those involving royal lineage or historical significance. There are three primary types of professionals who investigate historical claims: historians, genealogists, and investigators. These professionals apply rigorous methodologies that clearly differentiate their work from the tactics used by fraudulent claimants. Verify primary source documents, birth records, official archives. Consult multiple independent sources to corroborate claims. Establish clear chain of custody for all evidence. Apply consistent, rigorous standards of proof. Use modern DNA testing to confirm biological relationships. Let's directly compare legitimate research methods with the tactics used by fraudulent claimants. Legitimate researchers uses verifiable primary documents, while fraudulent claimants relies on unverifiable secret documents. Legitimate researchers multiple independent sources, while fraudulent claimants single sources or circular references. Legitimate researchers clear chain of custody for evidence, while fraudulent claimants mysterious or convenient origins of proof. Legitimate researchers consistent standards of evaluation, while fraudulent claimants shifting standards based on claim. Legitimate researchers DNA testing with clear methodology, while fraudulent claimants vague references to tests without details. DNA testing has revolutionized how claims of biological relationships can be verified scientifically. Compare specific genetic markers across individuals, requires clear documentation of sample collection, results analyzed by accredited laboratories, establishes probability of relationships using statistics, revolutionized verification of historical lineage claims. The contrast between legitimate research and fraudulent claims is clear when examining their methods and standards of proof. Understanding these differences is crucial for identifying deception.
Social media algorithms play a significant role in how misinformation and conspiracy theories spread online. At their core, social media algorithms are designed to maximize user engagement by analyzing what content users interact with. The system analyzes content characteristics, finds similar posts, and determines what to show in your feed. When users engage with conspiracy content, the algorithm flags these interests and begins recommending similar material. This creates what researchers call filter bubbles or echo chambers, where users primarily see content that confirms their existing beliefs. As the user engages with conspiracy content, algorithms increasingly recommend similar material, creating a closed information ecosystem. Notice how conspiracy content dominates the user's information space, while legitimate information becomes marginalized. Social media platforms have varying policies for addressing misinformation with inconsistent enforcement. These policy gaps create opportunities for misinformation to flourish. Particularly concerning is the lack of algorithm transparency across all platforms. When these factors combine, they create an environment where false claims can spread rapidly to receptive audiences. A single false claim can quickly propagate through networks of users, with algorithms accelerating the spread by recommending content to those most likely to engage with it. This technological amplification creates a self-reinforcing cycle that can turn fringe conspiracy theories into widely believed narratives within specific communities. To summarize, social media algorithms that prioritize engagement over accuracy, combined with filter bubbles and inconsistent platform policies, create perfect conditions for conspiracy theories to flourish.
For individuals affected by these types of schemes, various support resources are available to assist in recovery and healing. Support organizations specializing in cult awareness and fraud victimization provide essential guidance and education. The Cult Education Institute and International Cultic Studies Association offer specialized resources. Mental health resources are crucial for recovery from psychological manipulation. Therapists who specialize in manipulation recovery can help victims process their experiences and develop coping strategies. For financial recovery, several reporting mechanisms exist across different countries. The FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center and Federal Trade Commission in the United States handle fraud reports, while local law enforcement units can provide more immediate assistance. Building a support network is essential for long-term recovery. Connecting with others who have had similar experiences helps victims understand they're not alone and provides practical coping strategies. Recovery follows several key steps, beginning with acknowledging the manipulation and ending with self-compassion throughout the healing process.